Welcome and thanks for joining us for this episode of Scope. On Saturday, 19th March 2022, the Universal Church gathered about 200 or more women and girls at the church premises in Gordon's NCD for a counseling session under the theme Sanap Wantaim. Women came from all walks of life and church affiliations. The day was special because they were invited to listen to resource people who can lead them to alternative and better ways of dealing with their issues, abuse and domestic violence.
Once every month, Universal Church holds an open session for women and girls who have issues of abuse in their lives to be encouraged and prayed for. Recently, for the first time, the church invited resource organizations like CPNG and One Talk Helpline to participate. Female missionaries took the lead in encouraging the women to look at positive rather than negative side of things in their relationships.
Because we have gone through what you have gone through. We will not stand here today if we did not face what you faced. Do you understand? That's the experience is what we're passing to you today.
Rebecca, who almost died from her boxer husband's anger and abuse, ran away from home and later heard about the work of the Universal Church. She encouraged other women not to let the problems put them down. She admonished them not to cast an evil eye on their husbands because when they do, they develop negative thoughts about them.
Even though you are going to church, but your life doesn't change. So we start focusing on ourselves first, and then you will see. Slowly, you will start coming, attending church, not only Universal Church, but maybe other churches. If your husband is not going to church or is not a prayerful husband, but pray for him.
Having changed their life and character at home with the help of the church, Rebecca had a testimony to tell about how her abusive husband, who has now changed after attending church counseling. Philo Laulama was a young person who was lost and depressed in the past, but coming to church she had changed and is now helping others. She was saved from a life of drinking and smoking drugs because of low self-esteem. Child Fund PNG, who hosts the One Talk Helpline, had their representative who was at the event to inform the women of the help that's already available. Present also to address the women was Danielle Winfrey from the CPNG. This event, however, is not isolated. It is one of the social outreach programs that the Universal Church has been engaging in since 2 years back.
Like we have what we call our Caleb program for seniors. Very soon we are going to be having an activity for them as well, offering advice on nutrition, how they can get better in their health. We also have our youth program, that's our VYG program, where we do sports activity. We also do computer training and singing and music, different things that the youths come and they learn here in the church. Every Sunday, 1 p.m., we have the youth meeting. We have programs for kids whilst the parents are in the service. The kids have the kids area where they stay. So the Universal Church has different programs to help those who are in need.
A generous contribution was also received from Eliezer Company, who donated over 3,000 worth of food items to be distributed to those who showed up. This is the first time they invited St. John Ambulance to do free basic health check, which involves checking blood pressure, weight, height, and counseling people on their health status. Those found with existing underlying diseases and high blood pressure are referred to the nearest clinics in the city. The team leader for the St. John Ambulance, Liboy, said they saw 10 to 20 people during the event and there were more waiting to be seen. The health check was conducted free in response to the church call. Now, why we do this is a question that people may ask, Pastor Jonathan said. He said that this is part of their Christian faith. Jesus said that he was hungry and he was given food. He was thirsty and he was given a drink. He was naked and he was given clothes. They learn this in the Bible, so they teach the members to practice that. While the church plans to continue these worthy activities, they do need the community support from individuals and corporate partners besides their own church members.
When we come back, NSL gets land title after 20-year court battle. Welcome back. Nambawan Super Limited has finally received a physical title over a portion of land for which it has been fending off counterclaims over the last 2 decades. Lands Minister John Rosso presented the title to portion 2158 at 9 Mile at a business breakfast in Port Moresby. The presentation follows successful court proceedings and puts to rest the ownership of the land. Minister Rosso said this will pave way for the possibility of new housing for NSL members if the fund decides to go that route. But he has also called for NSL to work in partnership with NCDC to relocate settlers currently on the land.
Portion 2158 has been in court for more than a decade. Nambawan Super Limited has battled counterclaims over the ownership along with inefficiencies within the Lands Department over the last 10 years. In 2020, the court ruled in its favor. But it took another year before the matter came to the attention of Lands Minister John Rosso, who made a decision to hand over the title.
NSL came to my office following the Port Moresby Chamber of Commerce and Industry breakfast early in 2020 for assistance, stating that they have had more than 2 decades of legal battles, fighting over land they rightfully hold title to. Although they have succeeded in securing titles to portion 2156, 2157, 2159, and they still were having issues with portion 2158. It took 10 meetings between NLS and DLPP, which also representing NCDC in at least 3 of these meetings. We invited Governor Parkop and Honorable John Cowper to a couple of those meetings over a 2-year period to result in today's event.
Nambawan Super Limited legally owns 3 other land portions, 2156, 2157, 2159. The fund says any future development on the land will be discussed in detail. However, there's the possibility of the fund, with the ability it now has, to infuse the current housing market with more affordable housing for its members and others who may be interested. It is something they will decide on later.
Extremely important, because this is now brings to completion all the different titles that would make up our interest in 9 Mile, and it'll help the organisation, Nambawan Super, now prepare to look forward in terms of how we're going to manage this development.
Deputy Chairperson Dame Meg Taylor said the fund is mindful of the concerns by settlers who currently occupy the portions of land.
Well, we've worked very closely with the Lands Department, and as the Minister said today, that we should continue to work with Lands and Physical Planning and the NCDC, and then also the Member of Parliament for North East, Port Moresby, Honourable Minister Cowper, and try and look for those solutions of how you deal with people who have settled on this land. They are citizens of this country, and NSL is very sensitive to this, and there's been a lot of consultation with them. And so going forward, we will have to make sure that these people are also taken care of.
The title should be restored to NSL, and we also got to deal with the issues that surround the people residing on that land too. So NSL, I've encouraged them to have good talks with NCDC and find a win-win situation for development of that particular parcels of land. And we need to move away from not providing cheap housing for people. We need to have good housing for our middle-income owners, our lower-level income earners. They have every right to have a roof over their heads. And NSL, in my firm view, are going to be providing some more to ease the burden on housing, especially your middle-income earners, who many of us live in settlements and stuff. Many of them live in settlements and stuff.
This is one of 3 important title handovers this year. The first was for the development of the Tuhava Township, where landowners received a land title. Newcrest also received a land title for the state land it owns, for the development of a new township.
After the break, PNG Rugby Union takes a turn for the better, less politics. Welcome back. The PNG Rugby Union was established in 1963 and is the governing body for the rugby union in the country. PNG Rugby has been a Tier 3 rugby playing nation in the Oceania region but yet to make the Rugby World Cup. As with many of the Pacific Island nations, PNG national team, the Pukpuks, has tended to do best at rugby sevens and has been a strong national sevens team. For the past 10 years, the number of local associations affiliated to the national body has declined due to a lot rugby politics, so to speak, and personal egos. With the recent appointment of the new PNG RU board and executive, that is now a thing of the past.
In September 2021, 17 affiliated provincial unions of the PNG Rugby Union met and elected a new board. Paul Sivi was elected president, Andy Ani from East New Britain as vice president, Sibyl Druma and Nori Capson as board of governors, and Matilda Tigilai, president of Alatau Rugby Union, as a committee member. NCD Governor Paul Pakop was appointed patron. Prime Minister James Marape also announced government funding support. PNGRU also secured the Sir Hubert Murray Stadium as its new home, which was made possible through Governor Pakop, the Prime Minister and KPHL. On his first day in office, PNGRU CEO Silosin Druma said moving from Bawa to such a modern-day state-of-the-art facility at the revamped Sir John Guy Stadium was a blessing in disguise and a big boost and step forward for PNG Rugby to launch its 2022 calendar.
To be honest, there's a lot of things that, we used to dream of in the past. One of them is a proper facility where we can really, prepare our players. We used to, players sleep at home, no supplements, and no gym. Now we have the opportunity to have all this, and we're very, very. I'm really excited, and I hope that, with this we'll move rugby forward. The unions are starting to, establish themselves better. And hopefully we can really help them to grow because they're the ones that are going to provide the players for us. With the high performance unit that we've established, that's going to prepare the team well before we can go and compete. So my expectation, I know we can do better this time around, and we have to try we have to start somewhere, and now we're starting this year. And I hope that, we'll just go forward from here.
Following up on their funding commitment early this year, on Thursday, 24th March 2022, KPHL announced and formalized a milestone sponsorship of 10 million kina for PNG RU for the next 3 years from 2021 to 2024. The first installment of 4 million kina will be released this year, 3 million for 2023 and the other 3 million for 2024.
So I want to congratulate the board and president for pulling together what was a divided team, what was a divided rugby family, into one family now, and hopefully with the support of Congo Petroleum, where we are committing for 3 years to support the game of rugby in a big way. This is the first time that we are actually taking the front seat in terms of sports.
The KPHL Managing Director commended and congratulated the new PNG RU board and the executive for being proactive and in one accord to get the rugby family back together and move forward.
You did the right thing in the first place, to put a plan together, a strategy plan, get your differences together. That's why we are on board, but to go further, let's manage the rugby properly, and then we'll be there for long haul.
Song added, KPHL will work with PNGRU to make sure all their events and programs are successfully delivered to help grow the game from grassroots level and achieve objectives. Meanwhile, Druma said since the new board took office, it has taken a proactive approach in initiating and realigning its programs to revitalize and get the local association back on the same page. He said although there's been a setback of late of the World Sevens Oceanic qualifiers in Australia, the calendar still looks busy with proposed domestic and international fixtures looking on song to happen.
We have a lot of programs in our calendar, and we're going to need a lot of people to come in, and that's why we've got now 15 staff in the office. And for the first time, we establishing our high performance unit. So it's something we always dream about in the past. We used to assemble team and send them straight away to play internationally, and we get flogged. But like the Hunters program, they have a high performance. You need that to happen before you can send your players to compete. It's a critical unit that we need to have. So for the first time, PNGRFU is establishing its high performance unit.
PNGRU is also fully committed to promoting gender equality to get more men, women, boys and girls involved in the game through their training and education inclusive program. He said one of the main targets this year is to encourage and get more Motuan women playing rugby union.
The very interesting one though is an inclusive project, which is getting more women to be involved in the game, either as a player or through other areas like officiating or coaching. So that's a different program which is funded entirely by DFET. So we have two of our officers who look after that. Vayana Gaba, who came from cricket, is now a coordinator who looks after that. And also the deaf program. I think you watched the deaf played in the rookies sevens last year. This year we have East New Britain and East Sepik who are going to play in February against Central and NCD. So that's the first time for that program. And the growth of the deaf has allowed them to be able to have their own competition now. So we're very excited about all these programs, and we look forward to try and deliver all of them.
All right.
Silosi said deaf rugby that was recently introduced during the Rookie Sevens tournament in Port Moresby is also part of their inclusive program. This year, East New Britain and East Sepik have mobilized and organized deaf rugby teams for their respective local competitions. Silosi also revealed for the first time PNG has been invited to take part in an international deaf rugby tournament later this year, thus would encourage all member associations to organize and make deaf rugby as part of their regular competitions, which will be used as a base for selection.
This year we have East New Britain and East Sepik who are going to play against Central and NCD. So that's the first time for that program. And the growth of the deaf has allowed them to be able to have their own competition now. Currently, we only have Morobe through the Scrum program, but we are a partner with them. We also have East Sepik and Central. But this year, we've earmarked all the provinces to get into that program called the Get Into Rugby. So introducing the Code of Rugby into the schools.
In preparation for the upcoming international fixtures towards the end of the year, namely Oceania Four Nation, 15th Tournament and Oceania Sevens, PNGRU with support from the International Rugby Body and Oceania Rugby will be conducting immediate care first medical training to certify and license our local coaches, trainers and technical officers to enter the field of play in the event of player injury to perform first aid treatment.
The two big fixtures for us is the Oceania 15s, which will be in October. It's the Oceania 15s Championship. PNG, a current champion from 2019. We didn't have the Oceania 15s 2020 and 2021 because of the COVID. But again, we're hosting it this year. And for the first time in this November, will be the Oceania 7s. Fiji's been hosting it every year, but this time PNG is going to host that Oceania 7s. And we'll be lucky because countries like Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, who plays in the HSB 7s, will be here as well. So that's a big event for us to look forward to. And we also have local competition happening. All our intercity, we try to encourage a lot of unions to play 15s because it's more inclusive. Rugby is all about inclusiveness. You have wide bodies, slow people, fast people. So playing 15s is probably the approach we want to take, and we want to encourage unions to do that. Everyone can play 7s, but this year we have a very full calendar as well for 15s program. And we also have our training and education program, which it's an ongoing program for us to upskill and also certified coaches and referees. You know, they're very much big part of our game. So we want to continue that through our training and education.
The KPHL PNG Barramundis continue to make headway in international cricket. The team recently celebrated victory after beating host nation Nepal to win in the ODI bilateral series. PNG scored 283 after 7 wickets. Nepal lost 8 wickets with 278 runs. PNG also claimed the awards for Player of the Match to Lega Siaka and Player of the Series to Charles Amini.
PNG completed a 2-0 series win against Nepal after defeating the host by 3 wickets a week ago. PNG reached 279 runs target set by Nepal in 48.4 overs, losing 7 wickets in a match played at TU Cricket Ground in Kathmandu. Lega Siaka top scored for PNG at 90 runs off 102 balls, smashing 12 fours and a 6, as Riley Hekure not out and Sesebao contributed 48 and 38 runs respectively. Sompal Kami and Pawan Saraf grabbed 3 and 2 wickets respectively for Nepal. Earlier, electing to bat first after winning the toss, Nepal posted 278 runs, losing 8 wickets in the stipulated 50 overs. Dipendra Singh Airi top scored at 105 runs off 140 balls as Dev Kanal made 72 runs. Ale Now of PNG sent 3 Nepali batsmen back to the pavilion. Earlier on Friday, PNG defeated Nepal by 6 runs. The 15th one-day international for PNG in the ICC Cricket World Cup League 2 was the charm for the Kumul Petroleum PNG Barramundis. The losing streak of 18 straight ODIs is over as the PNG boys did it in style, thumping the second-placed United Arab Emirates in their own backyard. April 27, 2019 was the last time the PNG Barramundis won an ODI match. PNG was sitting on a 16-match losing streak in 50-over ODI cricket and languishing at the bottom of the WCL2 table with 0 wins and 12 losses. The match with UAE was set up by a brilliant bowling and fielding performance. Now's efforts were backed up by crafty medium pacers Ched Sopa, Riley Hekure and some brilliant economical bowling by Kabua Morea and Asad Vala. Despite a late rally from the UAE reviving from 9 for 77 to post 147, it was always going to be the Barra's day. The Barramundis then faced Nepal. In the match held at the TVWAN International Cricket Stadium, Nepal, batting first, had posted a target of 279 runs, which the visiting team surpassed in their 48.4 overs at the expense of 7 wickets. Among the winning total of 283 runs registered by PNG, Lega Siaka contributed the most with his 90 runs off 102 deliveries. Meanwhile, Dipendra Singh of Nepal struck a century to no effect. In the earlier held ODI match against PNG on Friday, Nepal had lost by 6 runs. The 6-week tour for PNG was an opportunity to get back into the winner's circle and climb the ICC World Cup League 2 ladder.
And that ends Scope this evening. A kind reminder to apply simple measures to prevent transmission of the coronavirus. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water, cough or sneeze into your elbow, and exercise social distancing. If you are feeling sick, please stay at home. You can also call the COVID-19 hotline number for more information or assistance. Thank you for your company. Bye for now.